Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Adaptable Expat. So let me tell you a story. About a month into living in Kuala Lumpur, I walked into a local shop to buy a bottle of water. I handed the shopkeeper the cash, and he handed me my change. But instead of placing it in my waiting hand, he put it down on the counter for me to pick up. I thought it was a bit odd, maybe even a little rude. I picked it up, went on my way, and didn't think much of it. But it kept happening. At food stalls, in convenience stores, at the train station. I started to get a little chip on my shoulder about it. Why won't they just hand me my money? Is this a thing? And you know what? It is a thing. In Malaysia and many parts of Asia, it's actually considered more polite to place change on the counter to avoid any accidental hand-to-hand touching between strangers, especially between men and women. What my Western brain interpreted as coldness was actually a sign of respect. That, right there, is culture shock in a nutshell. It's that moment of confusion, frustration, or just plain weirdness when your cultural rulebook gets thrown out the window. And if you're thinking about moving abroad or you're new to the expat game, it's something you're absolutely 100% going to experience. But here's the secret. Culture shock isn't a disease. It's not a sign that you've made a huge mistake. It's a symptom of growth. It's the stretching of your mind and your worldview. Today, we're going to demystify it. We'll talk about the most common ways it shows up, using a ton of examples from my favorite part of the world, Southeast Asia. And most importantly, we'll talk about how to get through it, because the person you become on the other side is so worth the journey. So, if you've been letting the fear of the unknown hold you back, this one's for you. The honeymoon is over. Every expat story starts with a honeymoon. You step off the plane into a wall of warm, fragrant air. The food is incredible and unbelievably cheap. The sights are breathtaking. In Thailand, it's the gold-tipped temples gleaming in the sun. In Vietnam, it's the dizzying, beautiful ballet of motorbikes in Hanoi's old quarter. In the Philippines, it's a perfect sunset over the beaches of Palawan. Everything is new, exciting, and an adventure. You feel like you're on the best vacation of your life. You're filling your camera roll, trying everything, and thinking, I could get used to this. What is all this fuss about culture shock? I'm immune. This phase is amazing. Soak it in. But it's called the honeymoon phase for a reason. Eventually, reality sets in. The vacation ends and real life begins. The traffic isn't a novelty anymore. It's why you're late for your visa appointment. That fascinating street market is now just a crowded place you have to shoulder through to get your groceries. This is when the cracks start to appear. The little differences that were once charming start to become irritating. And that's when culture shock quietly unpacks its bags and moves in with you. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow burn, and it usually stems from a few key areas. Culprit number one. The communication conundrum. This is the big one, and it's so much more than just language. First, let's talk about the obvious, the language barrier. Not knowing the local language can be incredibly isolating. You go from being a competent, articulate adult in your home country to feeling like a toddler, pointing at pictures on a menu and hoping for the best. I remember trying to explain to a pharmacist in Bangkok that I had a head cold. I was sniffing, pointing to my head, and miming being sleepy. He nodded enthusiastically, went to the back, and returned with a triumphant smile and a box of laxatives. We both had a good laugh, and I eventually got some cold medicine, but it's a humbling experience. It's funny in hindsight, but in the moment, it can be deeply frustrating. But the real mind bender is indirect communication. In many Western cultures, we value being direct. We say what we mean. No, I can't do that. I don't agree. That deadline is not possible. In much of Southeast Asia, that level of directness can be seen as aggressive, rude, and deeply disrespectful. The priority is harmony and saving face, which means avoiding embarrassment for yourself and, just as importantly, for others. This leads to the classic expat confusion. The yes, that doesn't mean yes. You ask your Indonesian colleague, Can you have this report finished by Friday? They smile and say, yes, I will try. In your mind, you hear the yes and tick it off your list. But what they might actually mean is, I hear your request, and I will do my best. But there is almost no chance it will be done by Friday, and I am too polite to tell you that directly and cause you disappointment. When Friday comes and the report isn't there, you feel frustrated and let down. They, in turn, are confused by your frustration. They told you they would try. This isn't about being dishonest. It's a completely different communication style rooted in politeness and avoiding conflict. Learning to read between the lines, to listen for what is not being said, is a skill you develop over time. Look for phrases like, we will see, it might be difficult, or I'll do my best. These are often the polite ways of saying no. In the next video, we will dive deep into a method we developed to manage all these culprits. It will give the tools to decode a culture and blend just like a local. Please like and share with fellow expats and dreamers. Drop us your funniest story down in the comments. And until then, keep the flame burning.